G'day everyone, it's Vicky Wright, Independent Stampin' Up Demonstrator, Australia. Thanks for joining me today. I thought I would share a card with you that I created yesterday. It's one that I did from seeing the sunrise the other day when I come out through the walkway and onto the beach. So that's what we're going to be creating, and it just sort of, we have great sunrises where I am, and this just sort of stuck in my head. So what we're going to do is recreate this card and see how we go. Okay, so let's get going. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab a piece of scrap paper, just photocopy paper, and you're going to punch out a circle with a circle punch. Now I've used the 2-inch circle punch, but you can do whatever size you want. Okay, so don't throw either of these pieces of paper away. You'll need both. So what we're going to do now is bring in a piece of, I'm using Very Vanilla. I just thought, I've been using Whisper White a lot lately, so I wanted to sort of change it out. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to place this anywhere that I want the sun to settle or to rise. Okay, so about there will do me. Then I'm going to bring in my Daffodil Delight ink pad. Yes, it is a very old one, but it still works. And with a Stampin' sponge. Now, if you've got the new ones, I wouldn't press as hard as what I've done. Only use a little bit at a time. And starting off your page, you're going to move it in small circular movement. I should have stuck this down, but that's all right. We'll see what we can come up with. I had enough ink on there to cover it anyhow. Just small circular motions. Ink your sponge up again if you wanted to, but that'll do me for the moment. Then we're going to come in with Mango Melody. Now this is the newer one, newer ink pad. So you'll see what I mean. So just tap it very lightly. I'm using the same sponge because I've used light first. If I was using dark and then going to light, I would change my sponge. Again, starting off the page, bringing that colour in. See what happens if you don't start off the page or off the paper, but that's okay. I'll cover that up. All I want to do is bring in some darker colour to the sun, and that'll do me. I'll just work that out a bit. I won't see that when I'm finished anyhow. Close that up. Remove that. Don't worry about that little bit there. We'll cover that up. Now what I want to do is I want to remove that dark white edge. So with our Daffodil Delight, I'm going to rub excess off, start in the middle and bringing it out to the sides. Just small circular motions again. And this will remove that dark edge, that real edge. We want it to soften a bit. So all I'm doing is just that. And I'll just soften it a little bit. So while we're here, what we're going to do is we're also going to sponge down towards the bottom. Just very, very lightly. Because the rays of the sun were hitting the water when I come through. It was just absolutely stunning. Some of them stick out more than other days, and this was one of those days. So I'm happy with that. And what we might do is grab a little bit more of our Mango Melody, and we're going to add a little bit of the Mango Melody around the edges and down through the sun, the rays. And that's fine with me. We can always come back later on and fix that up. Now, this is where the fun part begins. With our circle that you punched out from this scrap piece of paper, place some adhesive on the back and create a temporary mask. Okay, I've rubbed this off a little bit just on my clothes so that it's hardly sticking at all. Then we're going to put that over our sun like that. Okay, now I always turn this on the side when I'm doing this technique, and we're going to drag it, and we're going to drag the Daffodil Delight first. Now when you do this, always put your ink pad on an angle. Don't press real heavy, because with the new ink pad you may tear your ink pad, and you don't want it too heavy anyhow. You just want fine lines going through it as well as coverage at the same time, if that makes sense. So what we're going to do is just very gently, like that. Now, to create those lines, what I've done is I've just tilted it a little bit so that I've got the edge of it. Then I'm going to turn around and I'm coming in again. And all I'm doing is playing with my inks. Now, I'll just show you an example. If you want it to go in one smooth motion, if you were to start off the edge and then stop, that's what you're going to end up with in the middle of your work. You don't want that. So just one nice smooth motion. Okay, then we're going to come in with Mango Melody. Now this is one of the new ones, so just be very light-handed. So again, I'm just going to be very gentle. I just want to highlight it a little bit. The edges like that don't worry me. Oops. Just play with it, and that's all I'm going to do. The edges to me just create a little bit more interest. Now, I'll just let you in on a little secret I've learned over time. See how your edges are a little bit washed out, I suppose. That's because we've taken all the ink from those areas. So just grab your dabber, your ink refill, and just put some ink back in where you've taken it out. Okay, that'll settle in later. Okey-doke. So we're just going to close that. Now to create our sky, we're going to use Pool Party. And again, yes, this is an old ink pad. Same technique. We're just going to grab it and we're going down. Doesn't have to be in a straight line. We're coming back. And we're just doing that. I've also gone, I'm going to go into the sky just a little bit, because to me that's the sky peeking through. Then we're going to grab a little bit of balmy blue. Just a minute, I'll get my balmy blue ink pad. Yep, okay. So we're going to grab our balmy blue, and again, just very, very gently. You may not think you're dragging it, but you will be. You'll be surprised. Now, this will just take a little bit of practice, so don't panic. Practice on paper first. I'm just going to put some more ink on that corner. Just practice first until you sort of know how hard to press or anything like that. Okay. Then we're going to come in with our crumb cake, and we're going to do the sand. And again, all I've done is come in with our sand. I have a hard time from the opposite direction. And again, just creating some fine lines as well as colouring it in. Now, if you didn't want to do that, you could always sponge the whole lot, and then you could probably come in and drag the colours over it. That'd look nice too. Okay, so I'm sort of pretty happy with that. So once that's done, I'm going to remove the mask very gently. See how now you can see how we've got that sponged area to take away this dark circle, but I'm also going to come in again with my Daffodil Delight, and I'm gonna just sponge it one more time, just to bring it a little bit more colouring to it, I should say. Just like that. Now that little bit, I'm not going to worry about it because to me that looks like the crater in the moon. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to do our ink pad Daffodil Delight again, and we're going to drag it across the whole lot once more, and we're going to drag it across the moon. Oh, not the moon, the sun. We're creating the sun because you want some lines through your sun as well. Not too many, just a couple, and just very lightly. And the same thing with your pool party, just like that, and I'm happy with that. Don't go overboard. And that's it. That is our card. Then what we're going to do, we're going to grab our Stamparatus. I like the Stamparatus when I'm doing this. And we're going to grab our, just a minute, I haven't got it. Sorry about that. I thought I had everything ready. So this is the stamp set we're using, which is Friend Like You. And you'll be happy to know that, yes, it is being carried over. So we're going to grab our trunks and our fronds. There's the ripples there that you could create in the water if you wanted to, but I'm happy with just leaving them like that. And I'm going to put some paper, scrap paper underneath, so that this doesn't go, ink doesn't go onto my mat. Happy with that. We're just going to place that where you want it. Ink that up with black, because this stamp set is a silhouette stamp set, what they call silhouette. So all the images are pretty much solid images. So I'm happy with that. But before I move it, I'm just going to come in with my chamois, And I'm just going to clean it just a little bit. Well, a whole lot. Then we're going to come in with our fronds. And we're going to place that over our trunks, just like that. Now, if you don't have the Stamparatas, it's pretty much easy to see because they are photopolymer. So you can see where to place them, etc. But I'm using the Stamparatas because with black, I sometimes tend not to, I've moved that a little bit now. That's okay. Just sometimes I will stamp an image and it's not dark enough for me, and that's pretty well right. So while we're here, I'll just clean that. Put that over there. So while we're here, we'll do our sentiment as well. So I'm just going to use the same sentiment. Here's to celebrating you. Now, what I've done is I've placed it where I wanted it to be on the Stamparatas. Picked it up. You'll see why I've got this graph paper here. It's laminated, this graph paper, so I can reuse it over and over again. And then I like to see if I have it on straight. There are lines on the Stamparatas to do that, but I'm a little bit blind. Well, a lot blind. And I'm just going to place it on the lines on the graph paper. And then I'm going to clean that off. I've got to use my chamois for that. And I'm just going to see how straight I managed to get it. That's not straight. You can see why I use my Stamparatas. Just bear with me, because we don't get another chance to stamp this image, because it's going straight over our sponged areas. Okay, so now we can put our mat back on. Always use your mat when you're using photopolymer. Gives it a bit more thickness and sponged area. Now on my card, I did emboss it with black ink, black embossing powder. Oops, I don't want it that far over, so we'll just move it about there. Yep. But I thought with this, we'll just ink it up with the black. It's a tiny little bit crooked, but that's okay. And I'm happy with that. A little bit crooked, but it looks like it's moving with the waves. That's my excuse anyhow. I'll just clean my stamp. Put that over there, that there, move that. And that's our image there. Actually, it's way crooked, isn't it? But that's okay. It's handmade. Then all we're going to do, put a little bit of glue on the back, mat it onto a piece of basic black cardstock. Bring in Melon Mambo. Now, I was going to use Daffodil Delight, but it was just a little bit too bright. So I think the Melon Mambo gives it a nice contrast. See if we can get this straight. And that's it. Now I'm tending to make that crooked because my greeting's crooked. And that's it. Now if I wanted to, if that bugs me too much, I can stamp it again and then cut it out and pop it up over the top, but that's fine with me. It's only going to go to a family member, so they're not going to notice it. And that's how easy the card is to create. So, yeah, there you go. I hope you've enjoyed today. Thanks for joining me. See ya. Hooray.